All right, welcome to The Explainer. So, let's just jump right in and ask the biggest question of all. What is reality? Today, we're going to look at a single, kind of mind-bending geometric idea, a way to literally turn reality inside out that might just be the key, the hidden connection between our own consciousness and, well, the entire universe.
Okay, let's start with this. This quote, it comes from someone who was, for all intents and purposes, dead. Brain activity? Zero. And yet, they came back with a memory of an experience so clear, so vivid, that they said it was more real than anything they'd ever experienced in their waking life. I mean, how do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
And that, right there, is the big question, isn't it? It just completely upends one of the foundational ideas of science, that our brain creates our mind. I mean, if that's true, then when the brain shuts down, poof, the mind should be gone, right? But stories like this and a growing body of evidence, well, they're suggesting that something entirely different is happening. And look, these aren't just one-off, spooky stories. A really important study, led by Dr. Sam Parnia, looked at survivors of cardiac arrest, and what they found was just staggering. 40%, that's almost half of them, reporting some kind of awareness while they were, medically speaking, dead. So what we've got here is a real scientific paradox. You've got near-death experiences, you've got this thing called terminal lucidity. That's when people with severe dementia or brain damage suddenly become perfectly clear and lucid right before they die. A brain that's failing, that's shutting down, should not be able to produce a mind that's more coherent. It just doesn't add up. So, if the brain isn't the factory, then what on earth is it? Okay, so to even start to unpack this, we're going to need a different kind of tool. And you might be surprised where it comes from. It's not from neuroscience or biology. It's from the world of pure abstract geometry. Right. The tool is something called circle inversion. Now, don't let the name scare you. The basic idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine a circle. This transformation takes everything inside that circle and flips it to the outside. And it takes everything that was outside and flips it to the inside. It's a total reordering. But, and this is the important part, it doesn't actually break anything. All the core information is still there. You know, a great way to think about it is like turning a glove inside out. The shape looks totally different, right? But is it still a glove? Of course. All the stitching, all the fabric, it's all still there, just in a new arrangement. Nothing was lost. That's the essence of it. A radical change in appearance, but zero loss of information. And that idea, that's going to be super important. So there are basically three simple rules to this game. First, it flips inside and outside, near and far. Second, it keeps the local geometry, the angles and relationships, the same. And third, it's totally reversible. You do the flip once, and then you do it again, and boom, you're right back to where you began. All right, so we've got our weird geometric tool. Now let's take it and see what happens when we apply it to that huge mystery we started with, consciousness. Because this is where things get really, really interesting. So the proposal here is wild. It's that circle inversion isn't just a metaphor, it's the actual mathematical description of what's happening. Our normal day-to-day consciousness, that's the inside state. But that boundless, non-local mirror world people talk about in NDEs, well, that's what happens when you perform the flip, when consciousness is turned inside out. And before you say, okay, that's a cool idea, but it's just a metaphor, hold on. Because we have actual neurological evidence. Brain scans of people on DMT, which is known to induce experiences very similar to NDEs, show the brain physically reconfiguring itself in a way that looks an awful lot like this geometric flip. So what do the scans show? Well, what's called network desegregation. Basically, the brain's normal, orderly structure just dissolves. All these separate networks that usually do their own thing suddenly start talking to each other in totally new ways. It's like someone took the brain's internal wiring diagram and literally turned it inside out.
But here's the kicker. The very direction that information flows through the brain seems to reverse. See, normally your brain is working from the top down, predicting reality, building a model of the world. But in this state, it flips. It starts processing information from the bottom up, as if it's receiving a signal from some other place. The brain stops being a generator and becomes, well, a receiver. It's like an antenna retuning to a totally new station.
And this idea, it just completely reframes the whole conversation, doesn't it? What if we've been asking the wrong question all along? What if the brain doesn't produce consciousness at all? What if it's just a biological transceiver, a filter, a kind of organic radio that's designed to tune into one specific channel from a vast universal field of consciousness that's all around us?
Okay, take a deep breath. because now we're going to make the biggest leap yet. We've used this inside-out geometry to talk about the inner world of the mind. But what if that exact same mathematical blueprint is also fundamental to the outer world, to the cosmos itself?
This is the moment everything pivots, because it turns out this geometric tool, this circle inversion, isn't some weird, obscure thing we just cooked up to explain consciousness. No way. It's already a core principle, a fundamental symmetry in some of our most powerful theories of physics.
I mean, just look at how neatly these concepts line up. The mirror world people experience, that has a direct parallel in physics called the bulk/boundary duality. That shift in perspective from tiny details to the cosmic whole, that's just like something called UV/IR exchange, which connects the physics of the very small to the physics of the very large. And the brain is a transceiver? That sounds an awful lot like the holographic principle. It's the same pattern, the same inside-out logic, showing up in two totally different fields.
And I want to be clear, this idea of inversion is not some fringe concept in physics. It is absolutely essential. You see it in string theory with something called T-duality, which basically says a universe wrapped up super small is physically the same as a universe that's incredibly large. It's this deep, fundamental symmetry connecting the microscopic and the macroscopic. And yeah, physicists use this exact tool to try and understand the Big Bang.
So, what does all this mean? Where does this leave us? What if the mind and the universe aren't just kind of similar? What if they are built on and speaking the exact same fundamental geometric language?
Well, all of this leads to a really audacious new model of the universe called the PSUMO framework. And its central idea is that the universe isn't a vast, empty box with bits of matter floating around in it. Instead, reality itself is a single, unified thing, like a cosmic quantum superfluid. And everything we see and experience, galaxies, stars, even our own thoughts, are just patterns, just whirlpools and waves in this one underlying fluid.
And this right here is the biggest takeaway. The theory says that consciousness isn't something that happens inside the universe. Instead, both consciousness and the physical universe are two different faces of the same coin. They're both just expressions of this deeper, fluid reality, and they're both playing by the exact same geometric rules.
And maybe the most important part is that this isn't just some beautiful philosophical idea. Nope, this framework makes real, concrete, falsifiable predictions, things we can actually go out and test. For instance, it predicts that giant galaxy clusters connected by these cosmic filaments should show weird correlations in their star formation, as if they're linked by invisible highways. These are the kinds of things we can point our telescopes at and check. This pushes the whole idea out of philosophy and firmly into the territory of real, hard science.
So we're left with this final, really provocative thought. If the very same geometry, this same inside-out flip, describes both the way our mind works and the way the cosmos is built, what does that say about us? It asks us to consider a radical new idea. Are we just a tiny consciousness looking out at a vast, dead universe? Or is the universe itself a kind of consciousness looking out through us?